Today, Terraform Labs gets hit with Bitcoin embezzlement allegations. ApeCoin DAO votes to remain on the Ethereum blockchain, and Ethereum's test network successfully moved to proof of stake. What does that mean for the real network? Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Jordan Smith. Crypto markets are in the red today. By noon Eastern, Bitcoin traded right around $30,000, Ether traded at $1,800, and Avalanche traded at around $24. Let's talk about what investors are watching right now. Research from Citi says the recent volatility and the crash of Terra USD has slowed user adoption. Investor interest, though, that has not, despite a reduction in trading volume and futures positions, according to Citi. Over at Morgan Stanley, they're keeping a close eye on Tether. Analysts there found a record number of investors redeem the stablecoin in the past month to the tune of $10.6 billion. The bank also said the market cap of Tether is closely tied to the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Morgan Stanley compared this to quantitative tightening, when a central bank sells assets on its balance sheet in order to lower their value and raise interest rates. In Tether's case, when investors buy into the stablecoin, it raises the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. When investors cash out, like they're doing right now, crypto prices tend to fall. Let's jump to the top stories. First, South Korean police just launched an investigation into Terraform Labs over an alleged Bitcoin embezzlement scheme. According to a report in the Financial Times, officials didn't disclose how much of Terra's Bitcoin holdings were affected, but the company held more than $3 billion worth of cryptocurrency at the start of May, just before the collapse. In the US, Terraform Labs just lost an appeal over an SEC subpoena issued last year to its founder, Do Kwon. That investigation is related to the Mirror protocol, which lets users make mirrored assets that track the price of things like stocks. Next, the ApeCoin DAO just voted to remain on the Ethereum network. 53% of members voted in favor of the proposal, dubbed AIP-14, and a total of 7.1 million ApeCoin tokens were used in the process. Calls to move ApeCoin to another platform started after the messy launch of other deeds, which saw transaction fees spike during the sale of virtual land. Finally, speaking of Ethereum, the network just completed a major milestone in its transition to proof of stake. On Wednesday, the platform's test network, or testnet for short, successfully transitioned from proof of work to proof of stake. Ether's testnet is a place where developers can try out new technologies before rolling them out to the main network. The official blockchain, nicknamed mainnet, is set to make the same transition later this year, which will significantly cut down on the platform's energy use and potentially speed up transactions. For our main story today, Crypto World's Mackenzie Sigalo spoke to Auston Bunsen, co-founder of QuikNode, about the testnet's transition and what it means for Ethereum when the upgrade happens later this year.
Let's just start by breaking down what exactly we saw happen today.
Absolutely, yeah. So earlier today, the merge happened on the Auston testnet, which was traditionally a proof of work testnet chain for Ethereum. And it merged with the Auston beacon chain, creating a simulation of what will happen later on this year for the real merge that everyone talks about. Sort of significant because it went off without a hitch, and it's very promising because it leads us to believe that the real merge will go smoothly when it does happen.
And in terms of what proof of stake changes, what are the biggest benefits to this change in the consensus mechanism?
There are a number of benefits, and probably the one that most people will be interested in is the reduction in energy consumption for a block being created. So you can sort of assume that the amount of energy created will be 1/1000th or 1/2000th of the amount necessary to create blocks.
And just how significant was today's merge? What were the biggest takeaways?
The biggest takeaways are that this could be extremely smooth, right? There was no, crazy, bug that happened. Like everything went as smooth as it could be, right? And that's thanks to, all the people that are building Teku, Bezu, Aragon, Lodestar, Prism. These are all the pieces of software that are making the transition to proof of stake possible for Ethereum. Yeah, the other thing that's really interesting is that, there's still 2 more test nets that this is going to happen again on before mainnet. And that's also very promising because of the fact that we'll have 2 more chances to see if this goes wrong before we actually do it.
So can you break down what the difference is between the Beacon chain, Ethereum's main chain, the Auston testnet?
Absolutely. So testnets in general are made for trying new things for developers. So developers deploy their contracts to the testnets typically before they go to mainnet, and they test them out there. They stream events, they do things like that. But testnets are also useful for the creators of the chain, as in this case where we merged with the Beacon chain. So the Beacon chain, on the other hand, is the first step of Ethereum to move to proof of stake, right? It is a entirely proof of stake chain that until today wasn't actually doing much. It was just chugging along, creating, for lack of a better term, empty blocks. With this merge, we have real Ethereum testnet transactions being put into the proof of stake chain. So, essentially all that hash power, although Ropsten wasn't an extremely high hash rate chain, is now replaced by proof of stake.
Okay, so this wasn't the final step before the big migration we've been talking about for years. There are actually two more mini steps before that happens?
Correct, yes. There's the Goerli testnet, and then there's the Sepolia testnet.
In terms of next steps, when do you actually see like the main migration that we've been talking about for years happening? Is this going to happen in 2022, the third quarter, the fourth quarter? When can we expect to see everything finally come together?
So the fact of the matter is that the Ethereum Foundation is the primary driver behind this. And so that's a decision that they'll make. But if I was to speculate, I would, sort of say like, there's going to be an evaluation period for Ropsten, which is, probably now till 1 month from now. And then the Sepolia or the Goerli testnet will be merged. Then we have another evaluation period, probably shorter. And then another one with the merge after that. And then we can probably schedule the mainnet merge. So that puts us, hypothetically, probably August, September, and then potentially in October. I mean, again, I don't work for the Ethereum Foundation, so I'm not well equipped to answer this question, but it could happen this year.
In terms of next steps, if Ethereum does indeed upgrade to a proof of stake consensus mechanism this year, is that something that happens overnight?
Yeah, so today, the transition from proof of work to proof of stake was from block to block. So it was literally proof of work for block number whatever and proof of stake for block number whatever. And so it was essentially an instantaneous, smooth rollout. And I could see it happening in the same way for mainnet.
Last question for you, Auston. What kind of hiccups could potentially happen for the big merger that's expected later this year?
So the current merge that happened today will be a good indicator. So we actually just have to watch and see. We don't have enough information yet.
Okay, that's all for today, but you can find that full interview over at cnbc.com/cryptoworld. We'll be back again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.